Good to go?
Okay, we'll give this another try. We've had some technical difficulties, so we're a little rusty getting started here. So we were talking about revisions.
Yes, on item 4D on the salary schedule, there is a correction to one of the sheets, and it's really not an add-on, it's just a wording on a document. Also, under item 6, when we get down to the payment of bills, the big warrant for $396,000, there was a mistake on that, and we just want to make sure that that is in the minutes, that has been corrected. And then under superintendent's report, there are a couple items that I want to make sure that we get on there. I'm going to be giving you a copy of a new policy for guest speakers that come into our school district. And that is not for your consideration or approval tonight, but for you to look at. I'll be bringing it back to you in June. Also, there's been some talk about a report about test scores, and I want to share that report with the board tonight concerning a school site that reports test scores. And also, I want to also make sure that everybody remembers that on June 10th, we'll be having the State of the District radio interview with Loretta, and just want to make sure that we get that out there to everybody tonight. So really, there's not what you would say revisions, there's just some clarifications.
Okay, moving on. Now is the time when we recognize or have our school presentations. I think we have the middle school here today that's going to present for us.
Mm-hmm. And we can let them go first, and that way we'll have our mountain movers here during that time.
Okay.
Be good.
Middle school name.
Yeah, be good. Sorry.
You all see that if I just leave it as is?
The board will have a hard time seeing it.
Gotcha.
You don't care to turn it just a little bit?
You got it.
Can you say
I
it?
think we're going to get another
Is
monitor.
that good?
Yeah, we're
Can you
good.
see?
We're good.
All right. First of all, we would like to thank everyone for coming tonight. We would like to thank the board for giving us the opportunity to present. I don't need the mic. Oh, great. We would like to thank everyone. Is it turned on, Jeremy?
Yes.
Thank everyone for coming. When we tried to decide what we wanted to present tonight, there were a whole lot of things that we could have talked to you about because we have a lot of good things that are going on at the middle school. But we decided that we would talk about our Renaissance program. Back in probably May of last school year, I had Brandy Smith come to me and talk to me about the Renaissance program, which is developed with Jostens, who does class rings, invitations, those kinds of things. So there was a conference that was going on in Florida, and we needed a teacher rep and a parent rep. So we found some funds and came up with monies to get them to this conference. When they came back, they were both extremely excited to get this going in the middle school. So we worked throughout the summer to come up with different things to plan, organize, find as our main focus as we were doing our Renaissance. And what we came up with is really we're asking our kids to bring their A game every day, to come with a positive attitude, good attendance, and good academics. So that's where we started with our A game. Our attitude, academics, and attendance. So you will see that everything that we started to do throughout the course of the school year centers around those three things. So I'm not going to stay up here and talk a lot, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of background as to how we first got started with our Renaissance. For the principals that are here, I can't tell you what a great culture piece this is for getting kids excited, for getting staff excited. Up front, you got to come up with some money because it's not the cheapest thing for us to do, but we had really great support from our staff, and we had dances, we had work concession stands, we did school-wide fundraisers, and so now we're to the point where we're able to really start doing some great things because of the money that we have raised from the thoughtfulness of our staff and even our students, because they became completely involved in this whole process. One of the first things that we did was to buy T-shirts. So you will see that our students are wearing T-shirts. Blue is for our 8th grade, black is for our 7th grade, and then our 6th graders are all white. And they're going to talk about our Renaissance rallies in a little while. And every day that we have our rallies, this is part of what we do for our school spirit. So they all wear their shirts. So without any further ado, I'm going to let the students talk. All right. Tell them who you are first, and then let's talk.
I'm Abby Smith. I'm in the 8th grade, and the first thing we do is we wear our lanyards every day, and it identifies our card holder. So black card holders have no office referrals, all A's, and no unexcused absences. Blue card holders.
I'm Brianna Stamper, and I'm in 8th grade. And black card holders, you have to have A's and B's, and no office referrals, and no unexcused absences.
My name is Luke Williams, and I'm in the 8th grade. And to be a white card holder, you have to have all A's, B's, and C's, no office referrals, and no unexcused absences.
I'm Samara Rollins, and Rising Star is a program to reward and motivate students that are not card holders 19 weeks to become a card holder the next 9 weeks. Bringing up grades, students are rewarded every 3 weeks for improving a D or F they had in a class. Weekly perfect attendance. Students are rewarded when they go from unexcused absences to no absences in a week. And no discipline issues. Students are rewarded when they go from office referrals to no office referrals each week.
One thing I forgot to mention, and Abby talked about our cards here, they're divided into 9 weeks. So your card status is determined from one 9 weeks to the next. So if a kid is not a card holder for the first 9 weeks, they get a fresh start the second 9 weeks to work up to building that. Now, if for some reason they weren't a card holder for the first 9 weeks, and if it was because of grades, then every 3 weeks we're checking those grades. And if they've brought them up so they don't have any D's or F's, then they have a box that they get to go draw prizes from. If they've had an office referral and they make it a week without an office referral, we draw their name so that they don't feel like they're not a part of this reward program either, because we all make those mistakes every now and then, and we don't want to hold it against them for an entire 9 weeks or an entire school year. So when you see the Rising Stars, they haven't got their cards yet, but they're working on that next week, 9 weeks, to get that card so they can be a part of our rallies. All right, your turn.
My name's Joella Beard, and at each rally we give away prizes. We draw blue card holders first, black card holders second, and white card holders last. If your name gets drawn, you get a prize. We have given away over 350 prizes in total.
Grade levels compete in minute-to-win-it games that give them points to go towards the spirit stick, which is how much spirit each grade level has.
These are just some of the games that we play. They look like they're really easy, but they're not.
They're really hard. Teachers also participate in the games, and they take it very seriously.
This was part of our fundraising that we did. So Brady brought in a pig, and we had jars in each of the classrooms, and kids brought in money. So the teacher that had the most money is the one that had to kiss the pig in our first rally. So Mr. Horn was the lucky recipient of getting to kiss the pig. And then we had a teacher who volunteered, we'll say, to be taped to the wall with duct tape. So each child had to present $1 to get a strip of tape so they could tape the teacher to the wall. Now, some of these kids saved up their money for quite some time, and they were bringing in $20 to get 20 strips of tape so they could tape their teacher to the wall. So it wasn't anything that we had to do a whole lot of planning for, but it was a really good fundraiser because they love to see their teachers have something done to them. Yeah, Mr. Yost agreed to have, this was our Cheeto game, and the teachers put whipped cream on their face, and then the students had to stand back and try to get Cheetos to stick into the whipped cream. So, we don't believe in not getting dirty, I guess you should say, at the middle school.
If 8th graders have A's all 3 years, they get to paint ceiling tiles. We stay after school, eat pizza, and paint the tiles. They are now hanging in our main hallway since we did them yesterday.
More to come. Students that have been blue card holders all year long will be going to Kings Island on May 20th. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students are all involved in this activity. And, yeah.
We put our last slide there as the best is yet to come because we know that this was our ground year and it's only going to get better after this. We're learning more and more about what the kids like as far as prizes, as far as games. So it's only going to get better from this point on. But we are going to share as our last thing, allow each of our students to tell you what one or two of their favorite memories have been from the rallies. But before I do that, when I explained to the staff that we were doing this tonight, one of the teachers, they have their 8th graders write things about their fondest memories. And two of the things that they continually wrote about as their fondest memories was our 8th grade trip to Chicago and all of the fun they've had at the Renaissance rallies trying to get that spirit stick for their grade level. All right, you all share your favorite memory.
Getting to hang out with my friends at all the rallies and our 8th grade being undefeated and winning the spirit stick.
My favorite memory was seeing Miss Banks get duct taped to a wall. I found that really amusing.
What he really wanted to say was Mean Banks, because we had two Bankses at our school. One's Mean Banks and one is Nice Banks.
My favorite memory was one of our kids, Blake. He has a prosthetic leg, and for our last rally, he painted it blue and held it in the air.
And one of the students in the 6th grade said, "It's done. There's no way we're winning the spirit stick. How can we beat that?"
My favorite memory is participating in the games and watching my classmates participate in games.
My favorite memory is seeing all the teachers compete in the activities as well.
And that is all we have for tonight. Thank you for giving us the time. Do you all have any questions? No. Thank you.
Good job.
And they're leaving because we have our last day of K-Prep testing tomorrow, so they're going home to get fed. And the band concert. They just don't know that's why they're going home.
I'm still not going to get a hello or anything.
Just trying to drag her out of here.
Wow, that's a hard act to follow, but we're going to move on to, and thank you, Estill County Middle School and Miss Andrea Williams and Mr. Yost for coming to share with us.
You're very welcome.
We're moving on now to our mountain movers.
Okay. Brian, you want to come up and do the first one? Our first one, we're going to recognize our community mountain mover this month, and that is Miss Sherry Jenkins. Sherry, come on up. Sherry's been driving the Estill County Public Library bookmobile for 26 years, and she drives 300 miles a month all over Estill County. And she brings the bookmobile to South Irvin twice a month, where she teaches them how the library lending system works. And Sherry says that her work is not just about giving out library books, it's about connecting with her people. She loves offering the service and just being able to spend time with people who can't get out of their houses and visit the library, but love to read. And Sherry is very dedicated to our kids at South Irvin, and I know she's dedicated to our entire community. And Sherry, for your efforts, we'd like to present you with the Medal of Excellence tonight for what you do for our school district, and we appreciate you very much. Next will be our classified mountain mover, and Miss Donna, you want to do this one? And tonight we will recognize Miss Sherry Short. And Sherry's been employed in the Estill County school system for 22 years, and 21 of those were spent at Estill County High School. And Sherry says she loves working with the public and realizes that most people are good. She also loved working with students and building friendships with them and helping them in any way she could. And I know she came to us last year here at the central office, and she's been a blessing for everyone here. And we really appreciate what you do for our kids and for our school district. And Sherry, because of your efforts, I award you with the Medal of Excellence.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least is our certified mountain mover, and that's Miss Jolynn Owens. You want to come forward, Sheila? Jolynn has been employed in the Estill County school system for 20 years and has been an educator for 22. She's in her 4th year as the art and music special class teacher at Estill Springs. She's worked at the high school teaching freshman math intervention, RTI, and she's also one of our national board certified teachers. And Jolynn says she loves working with students in her current position because her students don't get to explore those areas in the classroom very often. And Jolynn, we appreciate what you do for our kids and appreciate that you are part of our school district. So I too would like to award you with the Medal of Excellence for what you do for every day. Thank you very much. And that's our mountain movers for this month.
That's our mountain movers. Might I add, Miss Sherry Short is class of 1982. So we're moving on to facilities.
I guess, Peter,
Yeah.
we'll get you to come forward, man. And
Come up. We're going to be a minute before we're there, but.
And thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Block people in. You know what? No, I think I can make it move. Perfect. All right. Thank you all so much. Okay.
To progress it, just.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you all again. It's a long agenda tonight, so I'll try to be quick with my summaries. The first item, I think for your consideration, is pay application number 10 for the Estill County re-roof project, the middle school and at Estill Springs. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you all have on that project. The pay application that's been presented has been reviewed by the design team, and it is our opinion it does reflect work that has been completed and installed, and we would recommend approval.
Just so you all know, at the middle school, they're in the process of basically cleaning up. They've started on the yard. By next Friday, hopefully all the materials will be off the parking lot and grass will be sown, and the pressure washing of the eaves of the building. When that new roof went on, it really showed up the dirt that was up high on the eaves, so all that will be done. And hopefully by next Friday, they're hoping to have all of the old roof removed from Estill Springs,
Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
And so they'll be really moving forward on that as well. So Peter is correct. They've looked at this. My recommendation is to pay application 10.
Do we have a motion to pay application number 10?
Make that motion.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries.
All right.
Still time.
Are you still crying?
It's been a hard day. I'll get it together.
So, the next item, that I have for you guys tonight is the consideration and approval of change order number 6 for the roofing projects. This is a change order that's related to weather, inclement weather, and a bunch of it that happened in January, February, and March that kept these guys from getting up on the roof. It was sort of a combination of rainy weather and then cold weather with the fact that they were putting on a metal roof. And when you have, frost on a metal roof, you're not going to put your people up there. So they presented, they asked for 38 days. We reviewed it and decided that 31 of them, based on our specifications and how many days they should expect to not be able to work, the 31 of them were accurate. So that the change order has been drafted for 31 days being added to the project. This is a $0 change order. It's just about providing the contractor additional time to get the work complete.
And we've worked with Peter on that and feel like that is appropriate based on the weather days that we've had. So my recommendation is to approve that change order.
We have a motion to approve change order number 6. So we have a first and second. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Okay, great. The next one is also related to the roofing project. This is change order number 7 for that project. This is not a $0 change order. This is an add to the contract of $24,342.74. It is related to a found condition on the site that was not anticipated. When the roofer got to the demolishing the eaves of the roof, the shingle roof, it was found that the fascia board there was a asphalt blackboard kind of product that is not structurally sound enough to carry the gutter and downspouts on the building. And it wasn't damaged. There was some water damage to it along much of it, and there is a significant amount of linear feet of this board all around the perimeter of the building that was needed to be replaced, and needed to be replaced with a sturdier plywood. And that is the direction. That is what this change order is providing for the project.
That's at Estill Springs.
Yes.
That's where it was found.
I'm so sorry. Yes, this is Estill Springs.
And it was, again, it was an unknown condition until they started tearing the old gutters and metal off the building. There was no way to know that it was there. There's no way, y'all know it is that old black OSB board that they used to use in construction. You can see it all the time. It just doesn't hold up. It's not appropriate to leave it there. We've got a facility that's going to be there for the next 25, 30 years, so we don't need to have gutters falling off of it in 5. So it's part of the contingency. The contingency covers it, so it's not
Yes.
an additional amount of money based on the BG1 that was originally filed, but it is additional money from your contingency for that project, and there is enough money in contingency
Yes, there
to
is.
cover this cost. So you won't be incurring an additional cost, but it is adding to the contract. My recommendation is to approve it so they can continue with that work.
We have a motion to approve change order number 7. Motion, do we have a second? So all in favor?
Okay. So the next time we get to move away from the roofing projects, and we're going to move on to land acquisition. Mr. Sale, I don't know if you want to address it, but we have put together, with the help of your bonding agent, a BG1, which opens a project with the Kentucky Department of Education on the property acquisition. Greg Dunbar in Frankfurt requested a separate BG1 be made for the property acquisition, and that's the document that you see in front of you.
And it's for the agreed-to price of $230,000 on the
I think it's listed, it's 120.86 acres.
And that is based on current surveys, and you can see the property appraisals, the geotech investigations that were done, and just the closing cost that was part of the agreement, that the board would pay the 6% closing cost. Of course, this will be completed once our bond sale is complete in August, which is when it's scheduled right now for the 3 projects we've got going on right now with the tech center, the land acquisition, and the bus garage. So we'll be making payment for the property in August once the bonds are sold. And my recommendation is to approve the BG1. And what that does is allows us to have an exact cost for the property purchase. And KD thinks that's cleaner than it being part of the bus garage BG1.
Yes.
So my recommendation is to approve the property purchase and the BG1 for it.
So do we have a motion to approve the BG1 for the property purchase and the bus garage? Motion. So we have a motion, do we have a second? We have a motion, do we have a second? Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, great. We'll move on to a few items related to the bus garage. The first is, again, sort of an opportunity to open the project with the folks in Frankfurt. The Kentucky Department of Education would like to see a BG1 for the bus garage. That's the next item, I think, on your list. And this is an updated sort of opinion of cost and updated description of the project now that it's moved to this new site that is associated with the land acquisition. And you can see all of the different costs there that are associated. And this will allow us to move forward with this project with the folks in Frankfurt. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have about it.
So y'all know this BG1, we've got to get it on the fact pack system with Frankfurt, and once we get it on there, they're expecting this. It shouldn't be a problem. They continue to make design changes as we speak because of where the building is located now. The design is changing a little bit. A lot of that design is design work that's being done now are items that will reduce the price of this facility. Some of those items have already been done. We also talked about the fact today about equipment and furnishings. Some of the equipment for that garage may very well be purchased outside of the contract, which is going to lower the total construction cost when all is said and done. But this comes in at about what we expected it to come in at, which was about the $1.9 million by the time the contingencies and fees and stuff were added to it. And of course, this is very necessary, as you know. We are starting demolition on June the 17th on the current bus garage, and the groundbreaking for the Area Technology Center is June the 14th. So we need to get this in the system, and then we can make any changes that we need to. So my recommendation is to approve the BG1 as presented.
So we have a motion to approve the BG1 as presented. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries.
Great. The next item on the list is a proposal from S&M Engineers for additional geotechnical exploration services for the specific site that the bus garage is going to be on. They did do some initial geotechnical work for the property acquisition, but this is more detailed, more specific to exactly where we'll be putting foundations into the ground for this building, and of course all the roads and parking lots around the building as well. So that's what this particular item is for.
And we definitely want to make sure we don't have any foundational problems. They did two drillings in the initial property purchase when we were trying to make sure, yes, we can build a facility there, and now they'll have to do some additional testing to make sure where the building is setting at. And you don't want problems with your foundation, and that's what this will make sure that we don't have as we move forward. So my recommendation is to approve the additional testing, and it's part of the BG1 that you just approved. So
Do we have a motion to approve the geotechnical services? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Motion carries.
Great. So, Mr. Saylor, the next two, I think I'm going to have to.
Next two are ours,
Yeah.
as I told you, and it's coming up here to Area Technology Center, but June 14th, for everybody out there that does not think the Area Technology Center is not going to be built, we are breaking ground on June the 14th, and we will have a groundbreaking ceremony right there on the current bus garage site. On June the 17th, I know that we've got demolition packages going to the printer tomorrow, so they'll be bidding the demo work. So come August, we have no bus garage. City of Irvin has agreed to allow us to use a city garage, and we've worked out a lease agreement with them. It's been sent to our attorney, and our attorney did call today. I told him, since we did not have executive session, that there was no reason for him to attend. He is on call right now if we do need him for anything. So I didn't want you to think he just didn't show up. He and I have been in contact a couple times this week. He has reviewed the lease agreement. There was some language changes that the city agreed to, and it's really, I cannot thank the city of Irvin enough for coming to our rescue on this. And it'll be a good facility. Our buses will be able to maintain them out of that. And hopefully we'll be a good neighbor for them for the next year. Approximately, it'll be about May or June next year when the bus garage is complete, maybe a little bit earlier. But City of Irvin says, take this building, use it for as long as you need it. And my recommendation is to approve that lease.
Do we have a motion to approve the lease with the City of Irvin for a bus garage, temporary?
Motion made.
I have a motion. Do we have a second? Brian? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries.
The next one is for a container rental agreement, and the only thing lacking at that facility is enough storage, so we're renting one of the, like the tractor trailer storage container units that they'll be able to put some of their equipment in, their parts, and be able to lock that on a nightly basis so that they'll have their materials right there on site.
Mr. Saylor, 2 of those. We're getting a 40-foot and a 20-foot.
Okay, and, you know, we do have a lot of parts and supplies, so there will be 2 of those that will be involved. And it's just a matter, we have to have a rental agreement with the company. So my recommendation is to approve that rental agreement.
I'll make that motion.
Second. All those in favor?
All right. On deck.
All right. So tonight I'm here to present construction documents for the building package of the Area Technology Center. This will, your all's consideration and approval of this package will allow us to forward it to Frankfurt regulatory agencies, the Kentucky Department of Education, and Housing, Building, and Construction. The next time that we'll probably be touching base with you guys is letting you know what the bids were, if you will. So this is moving along quickly, but I wanted to sort of give you an update on the project. I did bring the roll of drawings that is about 120 sheets big these days, if you need me to pull any of them for you. But I did make a presentation, and I did bring a board for you all to use here in the district as well to kind of give you all a presentation tool to sort of let people know what it's going to be like. They're going to allow the, you know, I can probably put it.
I'll sort of hold it up where
Okay.
maybe.
And then I've got some slides with the information on it on the digital monitor as well, Jeff. So, but anyway, that gives you an idea, and we'll be getting the district a couple more of those.
You forgot one thing, Peter.
What?
You don't have engineers on that pedway.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
In neon. Engineer blue.
So if you can see the monitor, I'll try and push through this just a little bit to give you guys a quick idea of what's going on. Some of it you've seen before. This is the first time that we've really been able to show you some aerial views of the building and a couple of axonometric images to sort of give you an idea of how the building is going to function. The site plan you've seen before, you know, with the middle school up at the north and the high school at the bottom, the pedway to from the high school to the ATC here with the parking in front, and the reworked vehicular circulation all around the buildings. The first floor, we have the health lab and the IT lab. You know, the big, huge entry lobby, and we have adult education, which is the light blue up at the front. And a new view that you haven't seen is just sort of seeing it as a building and how it's going to function and work. The entry lobby, the main entrance, the adult education suite, the health lab, and the IT lab. So the second floor is your big spaces. You have advanced manufacturing, engineering, construction, and diesel tech. There's a mechanical room up there, and there is an administration suite up on the second floor as well. And again, to sort of see what that will look like, and you can see the pedway coming over from the high school. That is an alternate for the project. And then you get to see how those five spaces are working on the second floor of that building. So the shot that is on the board that I just showed you, this is sort of a larger kind of rendering for you to see here of the front entry into the school. You can see the pedway coming over from the high school. And this sort of gives you an idea that this building is the high school building, and it's kind of grayed out. We don't have it completely modeled, just enough to sort of land that pedway on the other side. And you can kind of see how that pedway is going to connect to the high school building and sort of reach over to the new ATC. And we kind of like showing the foundations a little bit. It's sort of interesting to see what that building is going to be resting on in a way. So at least us geeky architects like that kind of stuff. And this image just sort of shows you sort of what that new stairwell over on the high school side will look like as it connects the different portions of the high school to the new ATC building. And this is the view from the middle school. Looking at the building, you can kind of see all the big overhead doors that will be used by the different lab spaces. And you can kind of sort of get an idea of what it'll look like from the middle school side. And that's going to be all of this slideshow. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. It was quick. Do you have any questions?
No, we're just excited.
Okay. Yeah, as Mr. Saylor said, this one's moving. We are going to the printer with the demo package tomorrow. And so the building package trails just a little bit, and we need KDE and HBC to have a few weeks to take a look at it and get us their comments. And your all's approval tonight will allow us to go there. So.
Just a couple things, Peter, they're going to be supplying us a couple more boards, and what we're going to do is we're going to take them out in the community, put them at some of the restaurants, and just start putting them out there. Powell County will be meeting at their board meeting here in the next little bit. I've met with them. They're really excited about their partnership with us. We'll be sharing it with their school system as well, since it will be serving both students from Estill and Powell to begin with. And we fully expect other students from other local school districts. Madison has also expressed an interest in a couple of the programs that we'll be offering. So I don't think we're going to have any problem in terms of student ownership and participation in this building. We've said from the very get-go that every kid in this state is, as far as we're concerned, we want all kids to be successful. We especially want ours to be successful, but we're about all kids throughout the entire state because it benefits all of us for that to happen. So I fully expect us to have several school districts participating in this. But, you know, the best part of this is it's connected right to our high school. Our kids are going to have first shot. They're going to be right there. And it's going to provide them with high quality, highly skilled educational opportunities that's going to make a difference in our area and our county for years to come. So it has been a long project that's been wished for 20 years, if not longer, in this school district, and it's going to happen. And so we'll be getting invitations out probably next week. For the groundbreaking, which is June 14th at 2 p.m. And so we want to make sure that everybody has that on their calendar and has it marked. And we need a big crowd out there that day. We won't have to worry about school traffic. We will be out of school by then. So I'm really looking forward to that and being able to put these out in the community, share it with everybody, our physical court meeting. We just want to make sure that we have this out there for everybody to see. So the next step, one last thing, EDA grant update. We still feel very good. They are still requesting information from us. I really feel like they wouldn't be requesting information if we weren't in the running. We're not ready to receive some type of grant award from them. They would not be asking us for additional information. We've been told that we will know something definitely long before the bond sale takes place, which is important when it comes to selling the bonds for this facility. Any money from that grant will offset this. So we've set the groundwork to pay for this building regardless of that EDA grant. My recommendation, and it's probably one of the best recommendations I've made to this board since I've sat here, is that we move these construction documents to KDE and let's get this building started.
We have a motion for approval of the construction documents for the ATC.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? All those in favor? Motion carries.
You guys, thank you very much for your patience and help this evening.
Thank you, Peter.
Peter, thank you, and we'll see you, I guess, next Thursday for roof meeting.
I know. Oh, no.
It's going to fall.
Just sit it up right there.
There we go.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, we're through with the
Okay, I guess I'm taking over.
good deal.
Next on the agenda, we have to approve the 2019 to 2020 district site-based staffing allocation revisions.
I guess you've been waiting in the bullpen.
Yes.
Okay. We approved staffing policies back in February, if you remember, so we could go ahead and start making plans. As always, we come back in May to approve SBDM requests and make any changes that we need to make in our district staffing moving forward into the next year. All the changes to district staffing, some of these are just wording, some of these is just where the places, they've changed places or whatever, but I've worked hard to make sure that we get these correct so that the board has an idea of where all our staffing at. You'll see the first change says that Success Academy Director. Of course, that's just basically a Success Academy principal, and that's just a different place on where it's moving. And we move on down. We've always had an in-school detention classroom teacher. It's just a change in how that is now going to be done at the middle school and high school. ROTC, the item number 3 right below that is the days are to be determined on our ROTC director. We've got all the paperwork in and we've entered into contract negotiations with Colonel Wicker, who is a Lewis County native who's coming to us from Michigan. After being up there working with some relatives and taking care of relatives, he wants to come home to Kentucky, and he's a great fit for our ROTC program, but we won't be able to finalize that contract until we get all the paperwork in. But he has agreed in principle to come to Estill County. The preschool program, that principal has long been, well, for the last 2 years, has been part of Estill Springs Elementary, and that's really hard to run a building, especially as we keep adding students to that facility. For him to be able to leave that facility, go to Estill Springs. So what he's going to do, instead of working at Estill Springs, he's going to assume a lot of the responsibilities of the preschool director, which will help us here at the central office level. We will still have to approve all preschool issues, but he will be taking care of most of the paperwork and directly working with Community Action Council in doing that. Over on the next page, under classified district support, under attendance, it's just really a change in a classification schedule in that the middle school, instead of having an office clerk, will have an office assistant, and that's just because of the way attendance is being done there. It's not really it's a reduction of 10 days for that particular position. And so it's not really anything that's going to, it's going to save you 10 days salary, but it was because of the duties and how they have been assigned at that school. Student Health Services, just remember you did add a CMA at the middle school, and that has worked wonderfully. She's been a great fit, and she's working at the high school, and will be able to extend into high school a little bit more now that she's got her feet under her there at the middle school. The athletic trainer contract, and I've got to make a note, Felicia, if you would, make me a note that I need to contact Bluegrass Orthopedic tomorrow. We've sort of let it lay on the burner, but they're coming on as our athletic trainer, and Markham Wallace is going to be as they're doing the athletic training, Markham Wallace is going to start doing training for our athletes in terms of nutrition, proper stretching, those types of items. They'll be working with parents. So it's really a partnership between the two of them to offer better services for our athletic student athletes. District support CCR lab monitor. This position has always been there, but it's going to be a difference in how that position is going to be administered. So it's not an add-on, it's just a change in location and days. As you know, number 11, we had our school law enforcement officer, and his final certification papers have been completed, and we fully expect full certification on him here in the next few weeks. So when we begin the school year in August, he will be a fully certified officer with arrest powers on school property and school property only. But that's all we'll need, and he has a good relationship with the Kentucky State Police. Our new sheriff is working with us as well, and we'll be providing drive-bys and sort of deputy services to our two schools at South and West. Irvin PD has agreed to have a presence at Estill Springs. So now we've went from really having none of our schools covered to really having assigned personnel at every school. Officer Cole will deal with the middle school and high school. So we really feel like moving forward, we've got a good relationship with our local police department and also with the Sheriff's Department, Kentucky State Police, and now our Estill County Schools Police officer. We've got a police force of 1, and we'll see how that goes moving forward. The other items here, I always try to let you know in terms of grants, how those grants are being spent. Just so you'll know, with Title I, we do have an increase of about 1 Title I teacher. I probably should have, letter A should have probably been highlighted, but that is because we're going to be hiring a new science and math coach. It's going to be paid for out of federal funds. Will be no cost to the district general fund, and that is very necessary with new math standards coming out, and also the new science test, which will become part of accountability here in the coming year. There's no other changes there in B and C. Under preschool, we have requested a 6th teacher, and we've asked them to let us know something hopefully by July 1, because we don't want to get in the same bind we did last year that it gets close to August and we have to hire somebody at the very last minute. We want to be able to try to take applications on that. They are working diligently trying to do that. But I will say this, they've already become a great partner. They've already stepped up in several areas with playground renovations and some other areas in terms of funding for that school. And so we're really excited about Community Action Council coming on with us, and it's the Southeast Head Start and Preschool Program, I think, is what they're under now, is called Southeast. And also Gear Up. Don't forget we got our Gear Up grant back, and back in the winter, you hired 2 college and career navigators and 2 academic interventionists. Just want to remind everybody that's there. So I'm coming to you tonight asking you to approve these district staffing changes, and that way we can move forward with placing personnel. So my recommendation is to approve that document.
Do we have a motion? Brian? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
This item here, the next item, is the certified personnel by school and the funding sources. I give this to you all just for your review, and so you'll sort of know where our personnel's at, how many personnel we have at each school. And you can see as you go down through there, as you sort of look over there, we have a change of 2 teachers. We actually have a reduction of 3 staff members. Just remember, some of these are grant funded. We really have 4 new positions in our school district for this coming year. But out of those 4 new positions, 3 of them are grant funded totally. So really there was 1 ad. But if you go over to the other side of the ledger, there was really a reduction of 4 when it falls out. So even though this sheet shows that there's a reduction of 2, just remember one of them is a grant position that's been added. So there's really a reduction of 3 teachers within the general fund. So that budget-wise, that's what's going to allow us to be able to stay on track with our budget. So that's just for your information. It's really not something you all have to approve. It's just where I've placed personnel for the coming school year. And please remember that no teacher in this school district has the right to any job or any school. That is at the discretion of the superintendent, and it's my discretion alone. So there will be some transfers. There's already been some transfers. There'll be some other transfers coming up. If there was a reduction in pay or a reduction in job responsibilities, those have already taken place. They took place yesterday. May 15th by law, I have to do that. So there will be some more transfers that's going to take place. There are some vacancies right now that we'll be transferring some people into those vacancies. So just wanted you to know, again, just remember that personnel is at the discretion of the superintendent, and as you all know from your trainings, that my duty is to inform you what those are, and you'll see some of those later coming up. So that is for your information.
Okay, next we have the middle school and high school site-based request.
And as you can see there on that page that we just left, it talks about add-ons out here. You got to remember that the high school and middle school, because of their programs and the programs that they have to offer, there's never going to be enough teachers that's going to be allocated under the SBDM allocations that we do on March 1 every year. So in order for them to be able to offer a complete program, the board will always have to pick up some positions there. And that's basically your Section 7 money that flies around out there that goes to meet these needs. So at the middle school, you'll see that we're adding 1.5 additional teachers, and now that's above and beyond site-based and Title I and all grant and district teaching positions. And those teachers at the middle school is 1 social studies position that they need, and also half of a music position that they need. And of course, that will allow them to continue with their current program, and it keeps them at their current staffing level. They do not lose a staff member. And then at the high school, there is 2.5 teachers that's being requested by their council, and I've worked with Mr. Winkler to make sure that that meets their needs. And it shows you on that sheet that we just left that they are actually gaining a teacher, but they really didn't gain a teacher. Last year we had a teacher that was credited to the middle school that actually didn't teach at the middle school. They were at the high school. I just made the adjustment so that you all would have more accurate information. So they're really not gaining a slot. It's already something that they've had in the past. But in order for them to be able to offer their requirements, they're asking for 1 science teacher, they're asking for half of a music teacher, and they're asking for a world language or an English teacher. So those add-ons is not some frilly position. Those are positions that are really needed. I've worked in conjunction with Mr. Winkler and Ms. Williams both, and their site-based councils to make sure that they're staffed at appropriate levels. And my recommendation to you would be to approve those 2 site-based requests.
Do we have a motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, motion carries. Next, we have the 2019-2020 salary schedules.
Yes, and we want to make sure that the salary schedule is right, because everybody likes to be paid, and we have to notify everybody here in June what their approximate salary is going to be. So Felicia needs this in order to be able to complete salary predictions for all 400 employees that we have in our school district. So just, I wanted to point out a couple changes, and you also had this added. I told you earlier that you've got an extra sheet of paper laying there that is changed from when this was given to you, but it's just a language clarification. It's not anything that's going to change the salary schedule. But as you move forward, if you'll flip over, and these are, I thought they were in yellow, but maybe they're not. I know that there is a change at the page 3, which is under the stipends for administrators. You will see that there is an additional position right there, the elementary assistant principal, $2,000. That's at Estill Springs. And I wanted you to make sure that that is an add of $2,000. Now that Mr. Willis won't be working there any longer, there does need to be that second person in command at Estill Springs, and that takes care of that particular position. And I believe that was the only change on there. You also see that there was a change in terms of days added for the extended employment for the assistant elementary position. That's 5 up from the bottom. On the next page, there's 5 extended days for that person as well. That position will be posted once you approve this tonight. It's not been posted yet, and it will not be an extra position. That is only 5 days and $2,000 for an existing person that to be named by the principal after consultation with her site-based counsel. That will not be an extra added-on position of salary for the 185-day or 187-day contract. We did make some corrections in terms of our AD. We floated back and forth on the next page on extra service stipends. We did make a change in terms of going back to making sure that we've got a delineation between our athletic directors, in that we have a head athletic director for the district, which is a $4,000 stipend. And then we have 2 head athletic directors at the high school and middle school. And we have 2 assistants, and those were both $2,000 stipends. And we have 2 assistants at one at the high school and one at the middle school. That's a $1,000 position. Those positions there are usually they're in charge of supervision of games and those types of things. And really, the only difference is that that's an increase of $500 on that entire page, just because of the reconfiguration of the athletic administrators. Then I think if you flip all the way over, and Felicia, let me know if there's something else I need to point out to them, but I think if you flip all the way over to this page, which is the district-wide hourly rates, the very top one talks about hourly rates for certified staff. It's the next to last page. And we have a program through which we have some teachers that are part of what's called an MAT program, which is the Alternative Certification Program. And usually when those teachers enter that program, they're there for 3 years. Well, it's not like K-TIP. If we have an interning teacher, a brand new teacher coming into our district that's been through all of the teacher education programs, they get a person to work with them for 1 year, and that's paid for by the state. But what we've come to find out over time is somebody that's in alternative certification, they're in a 3-year program and they have nobody to work with them, and they didn't go through a teacher education program. And it's necessary to have those positions because, as everybody knows, we struggle for staff sometimes in some areas. So we just don't feel like it's fair to put a person out there that's never been in a teacher education program and put them in a classroom and say, go teach English to middle school kids. So we want to make sure that we put somebody with them. And we're just letting you know that we're adding that right there in that category so that Angie doesn't get all sort of nervous whenever she gets a timesheet from a mentor and it's not on the salary schedule. Because if it's not on the salary schedule, technically we're not supposed to pay them. So that's the change there. And that's on the new page up at the top. It says teacher mentor, And you'll see the one that you have in your packet does not have that. So that's the changes in the district salary schedule. I mean, it's less than any change that's made there. It's less than $5,000 for the entire packet. So there's really no minor changes, or just minor changes, no major changes. And I will also say that right now, that salary schedule does not have any type of raise for our employees. And I think we've talked about this, that we want to make sure that come July 1, we roll our budget, we see exactly where we're at with our budget. We're anticipating that we will be able to give some type of raise, but we want to make sure that we see the July numbers, and then by the August board meeting, we can make a decision in terms of what we want that to look like. We've got options to give a percentage raise. You can give a bonus across the board if you want to do that, which is something that doesn't tie you to future. If you do a percentage raise and you change the salary schedule, that commits you from now on. If you do a bonus, which is also legal, that commits you for 1 year. If we're not sure about finances at that time, we know we've got the money to do it this year, not sure about next, then we can go ahead and do that as a bonus. But we'll need to do that in August. And that way, there'll be a few employees that Felicia and Peggy and Angie and LaDonna, they'll all pull their hair out a little bit to do it because it's not now. But it won't be the same impact if we wait to September. So we'll get something done in August, and I'll keep you all informed as soon as it rolls and Angie and I have a chance to sit down. We'll know exactly where we're at. So my recommendation is to approve the salary schedule so we can move forward with notifying our employees of pay for the coming school year.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, motion carries. Next, we have the tentative budget.
Miss Angie's with us. She's given you a page here, just a synopsis of our budget. I'll just tell you that Angie and I have worked Monday and Tuesday for a couple hours both mornings just looking at this budget, making sure that we're giving you a document that we feel good about, and we do feel good about it, and also looking at current year budget items, which is tight. I'll be honest with you, transportation and maintenance are both tight right now. And we've had a lot of things happen, but she's going to go over these items with you. And if you got any questions at the end, we'll be glad to answer them. So Angie, you got the floor.
You'll notice we've reduced the beginning balance, and that's mainly attributed to several one-time expenditures we've had over the course of this past school year. Of course, you all know we've got the new telephone system, the new fireworks security system, LED lighting upgrades, and security cameras. So all of these were much needed options. Another thing that's going to hit us is sick leave, because we had several retirees for FY19. And this has exceeded the amount of sick leave that we had budgeted. In the long run, we're going to be able to save money probably, because this, those teachers and positions are replaced. They may be younger people, so it'll be lower on the salary schedule and it'll offset over the next few years. But we just have to overcome it this year. Property tax and motor vehicle, those are all listed there. We've been pretty conservative in our revenues. If you'll notice, local general fund revenue is at $2.9 million. The state, which is the majority of it, is from our SEEK dollars. Actually, the total state is a little bit over $14 million. Our SEEK is at 10.7. That's our final SEEK for FY19.
Which was good news. That was a
really good news.
Increase over what we expected.
And that can be attributed to our attendance rates being up.
As you go on through, our federal revenue is only $18,000. That's Medicaid reimbursement we receive for services provided to students. Our other general fund revenue is $122,000. That's from lost compensation for some insurance things that we're expecting, and also for our indirect costs that we charge food service for. So if you look down there, our total revenues are $17.9 million for the general fund.
And you'll see that reflected on your budget page if you go to
It's
your
on
budget
budget
that you
page
have there.
4.
And it's page 4 down at the bottom, the $17,911,000 is your total receipts, and the total revenues altogether is a little over 19 million. Does anybody have any questions about the revenue side as Angie's presented it? And just remember, the one thing that doesn't go up or hasn't went up because of state funding, the revenue is pretty stagnant. You know, we were able to find a few dollars here and a few dollars there, but for the most part, revenue is stagnant. Expenses keep going up. So that's why every year we're sitting here looking at how do we make reductions in expenditures. Any questions about revenue? If not, she'll move on and talk about each of the different categories that we have within the budget.
Okay, if you look down there on page 5, instruction, and I have to tell you all, as we come to September and we do our working budget, these numbers we'll be able to fine tune them a little bit more and exactly how things, where people are placed and what their job description is, so it'll be reflected within these functions. As you can see, instruction is at $9.3 million. That includes anything associated with classroom learning, whether it's home and hospital or in classroom. Student support services, that's anything that supports classroom learning, which includes like guidance or speech, OT, anything to help the student learn and function within the classroom. That's at $1.2 million. Instructional staff support services is function 2200. That is to utilize any kind of special curriculum materials that will help in the classroom, such as a librarian or media services. It also includes some technology. The school administrative support is anything associated with school administration, principal's office, any clerical staff, assistant principals, anything like that. Business support is the accounting office and also some technology and network support services. Plant operations and maintenance is where the majority of our repairs and maintenance come from. That's our utilities. Anything getting our facilities ready for students and to make them safe. 2700 is transportation. This is transporting students to and from school. And you'll notice the 2 buses are in there that we will take delivery of. It's at $1.9 million. Food service, that provides a duty-free lunch for all staff. And then if you move on over to page 8 on the budget, the debt service is $51,679. That's for KISTA buses that we're paying on. And the fund transfers, that's for KETS match money when we receive our offers of assistance from KDE. And that brings our total expenditures to $19.6 million. If you'll notice there, we have a contingency of 1.6. Do you all have any questions or?
Let me just highlight a couple things for him, Angie, as we talk. She's already told you that back under item 1000 instruction, you'll notice that we've already shown a reduction in instructional staff. Remember, I said we're down 3 positions. Those 3 positions are all 3 retirements at the top of the salary scale, about $60,000 apiece. That's a $180,000 reduction in just those 3. Also, remember that we've had probably another 7 people retired. Now, those retirees are not reflected in that yet because you actually don't know. I mean, if we're hiring a biology teacher and all of a sudden we have somebody walk in our door that's got 22 years experience and they're a dynamite biology teacher, we're going to hire them. And you may not save what you would save that you would if you was hiring a brand new teacher out of college that's got a biology degree. So usually every teacher that retires can be anywhere from $10,000 up to probably a $25,000 savings. It's just based on who you hire back to replace them. So you're going to see that instructional number, I believe, go down a little bit more as we get in the next school year. And I've already given Angie the current staffing with some of the transfers that's going to take place that I told you about earlier. I've given her that information. She's already plugging in to get September's budget because that's what's going to determine the raise in August, okay? Also, to let you know, she mentioned about maintenance. Know that there's $100,000 in that budget for a new roof on this building that will be done this fall. We'll finish all the renovations of this facility. I know it's part of the school district facility plan to build a new central office. It's there for one reason. We get critical shortage money for that by showing that we have a need for a new district office. There probably won't be a new district office in my lifetime, to be honest. There's too many needs for our kids for us to build a new central office, and besides, this right here is a great facility for what we use it for, but we do have to put a roof on it. If we don't do that, it's going to fall in. We've got issues with the roof. Also, under transportation, she mentioned 2 buses. Those buses are already on the lot. They'll be billed July 1. And so that's the $200,000 for those, $190,000, I think, is what's budgeted for those. So just those are a couple things that I would point out. I feel like it's a good budget. We feel we also reduced the amount of rollover just to make sure, because we've had some big one-time items. She talked about safety items. We have a new secure entrance at the middle school that we've had to pay for. We have new telephone systems across our entire district. We were one part away from not having telephone system. We're still working out a few bugs. We were down with phones here a few weeks ago at one of our schools, but it's just...
That's also reduced our telephone bills, so we're saving back on that.
The thing about the new fireworks system is that before, every one of our buildings had a dedicated phone line for security. They had a dedicated phone line for the fire system. So we were able to reduce all of those lines. We now have one line that comes to the central office. The fireworks system sits here, and all of the schools communicate to it. So we went from like 24 lines communicating to fire, security, down to one line. That's a big savings. That's $50 per phone line. So not only are we making some big upgrades, we're also doing steps that's going to save us money in the future. Security cameras, we had no security cameras outside at the high school. You got drivers, you got student drivers there. A lot of activities. That needed to be taken care of. It's taken care of. No security cameras at South Irvin per se. That's been taken care of. They've been updated. The middle school camera system's been updated. We've spent a lot of security money to make sure that our kids are safe in our facilities. And hopefully, there will be some mechanism in Senate Bill 1, the school safety bill, that will allow us to be able to recoup some of those expenses, because honestly, we just didn't feel like we could wait. So we went ahead and spent the money, but now the sad part about that is that I believe there's going to be money allocated for school districts to make these changes. Well, we're fighting hard right now to make sure there's some mechanism in there that we can maybe get a rebate on things that we've already done. They're not going to let us back up 4 or 5 years, but maybe they'll let us back up the last 2. And that's our hope, because if we can, I mean, we've probably got $150,000 out there in security measures that we've spent out of our district money that maybe we can get recouped for. So, good budget. I feel like it's a budget that we feel confident in because we've reduced some of our tax revenue projections that we've not been meeting. We reduced those. We reduced our carry forward. We want to make sure that I'm not presenting you something and I come back here in September and say, uh-oh, we made a big mistake. We don't want to do that. So feel like it's a good budget. Angie's worked hard on that. My recommendation is to approve the tentative budget.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, moving on. Next on the agenda, we have our consent items.
Yeah, let me just point out a couple things to you that I told you when we started on payment of the bills. You've got your minutes, of course. Payment of the bills, it's the thicker document that you had that said the warrant was for $396,404. There was a payment that was made twice on that payment, so actually that has been corrected, and that payment is now $396,308.50. So it's a reduction of $95.52. So just to know that that has been corrected. It was caught as we were doing our final checks on these within the last couple days. Also, you've got your utility. That was handed to you. We always pay utilities at the first of the month, and you all allow us to do that ahead of time. Also, the bank statement usually comes late. Don't forget that you was given that as well. That is your bank balance as of right now. Remember that we have a lot of that money right now in CDs. We're trying to maximize the rate of return on that. As I told you, there's not a lot of ways you can get revenue. That's one right now that we can get some revenue. So wanted to make sure y'all had those items. Also, there are some surplus items down there that was E, approve or declare buses surplus. I also want to add these items, which the garage is going to be demoed. There is a very old air compressor in that garage. It needs to be on that list. And there's also the lift, the in-ground lift, even though it has some problems, it does have some value out there. There are some people interested in bidding on that. There's no need to let the demolition company come in and just demo it and throw it out. If we can get some dollars out of that, that's money we can put back in transportation. And also, there's also a Chevy Blazer that we're going to go ahead and surplus as well. All those items, we get those buses and that Blazer, it's less we have to pay on insurance. So we don't need to be carrying things that, both of those buses. One of them runs, it'll probably make it to Highway 89, hopefully, when somebody gets it. One of them doesn't run, it'll have to be towed out of here. The Blazer, I think, probably will make it to downtown Irving, at least, down to the courthouse to, but no, the Blazer's not in that bad a shape, but it's just got a lot of miles on it. We don't need it any longer, but just wanted to let you know those items. And honestly, there's a couple of Homeland Security grants in there that Homeland Security will supply some items for our officer. And as always, we approve substitutes at this time as well. So I don't know if there's anything else you all have any questions about. You see also on there a donated item. Anytime we take something in donation, you have to accept it. That way it's covered by our liability insurance. If we don't accept it, then it would just be a loss. So that is your consent items, and my recommendation is that we approve those as a whole.
Do we have a motion? Thank you, Brian. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay. Next on the agenda, we have public comments.
None?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay.
Next, we have the superintendent's report and the board member forum.
I'll give you that. That's my activity report. And just real quick, you have the report on personnel actions. As I said, those are to inform you of any employment moves that I've made as superintendent. Also, you will see my activity report that I just handed out to everybody. Been several good things that's went on last few weeks, especially April 24th, the BCTC dual credit meeting. Them working with us on providing dual credit opportunities for our students, and especially in the Career Tech Center. They have become a huge partner in that Career Tech Center to offer adult programs, and not only just adult programs within the areas, but also for displaced workers. They can offer programs for displaced workers that have lost their jobs due to mining or whatever, and they are slowly becoming a big-time partner in our area technology center. But we've conducted leadership meetings, and so those are met with Shane Baker also on May 10th, who's with Governor Bevin's office. We have the commitment for funding for operations for that facility, but I've started working with the governor's office. I don't know who's going to win the governor's race, but right now we have a sitting governor, and I'm working with that office to see that in his budget, if he is elected as our governor this coming fall, then I'm working with his office to have the operations put in his budget. And if they're in his budget, then we're definitely at that point in time, we know in January, before the legislature starts, we know that we're in good shape. And Shane is our representative, and that was a great meeting. We met probably an hour and a half. So I really feel good about that. But that is my report of my activities. We have 2 employees. It's on MOA with KDE. We always have to report that to you all. We also have to remember that every April as we're doing staffing as well. I put some information in there about the census, and I can't tell the people of this county how important the census is to us because of the head count for our county determines a lot of times the amount of federal funds that we receive in this school district. As part of that budget tonight, we didn't discuss Title I funds. Right now, because of decline in population, we are expecting about a $47,000 cut, I believe is what you told me, right, Ms. Reese? That doesn't mean that's what we're projected to have right now. Doesn't mean that'll be final, but that's because of declining enrollment. And I know sometimes people are afraid the government doesn't need to know our business. Well, I don't know what letting somebody know where you live at matters. If they know you live within the confines of Estill County, we need for people to know that, because it's not the school system. Fiscal court, all your different entities, emergency management, all the grants, it's based on federal money. These numbers are very important, so that's coming up, and we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get every person counted in this county. And that's one thing I would ask our papers to do moving forward. We really need to start talking about the census and building up the fact that the census is coming, because I'm telling you, it is crucial to a lot of different entities. End of year events, those are in there for you. I also wanted to give you a policy on guest speakers. I want you to look at this and how we determine what guest speakers come into our facility. This is not, we've been doing this in a sense, but it's not really been a policy. And it's not been one of our policies. And I really believe we need to look at this. And if you all have no problems with this, I'd like for you, if you look it over, let me know within the next couple of days. I talked to Kim Barker today, And if you all don't have a problem with that, that's going to be the guest speaker policy that we institute. And that's what will determine who comes into our classrooms, presents to kids. It gives the principal a lot more authority on that measure. Also, there's been some reference to the school digger site. If you'll remember, 2 years ago, the school digger site was used against us in terms of our test scores being low. There was a mention about school digger the other day in some of the social media posts and things that's going on. I wanted to let you all know, we talked about the improvement in test scores. And if you will look at this trend over time, it will show you the trend over time in our school district in terms of test scores. And I think you will see last year when we talked about making significant improvement, the 2 years before I got to this school district, and that's not a reflection on anybody, and it's not a reflection on me. It's just where we were at as a school district. Where we were in the bottom 4% of all schools in the state of Kentucky. And as you notice, once over the last 3 years, and of course we don't have this year's test scores, but after the first year of us implementing the PLC process, implementing school leadership teams, we went up a little bit to 4.3. The second year we went up to 6.8. And this last year we went up to 23.6. That's almost a 300% increase over last year's scores. It's a 600% increase from the day I arrived here in the door. That's not me, that's the hard work that our teachers and principals have done in our schools. We fully expect that number to continue to improve, and I just wanted you all to see those numbers. Those was mentioned, they're out there. There they are for you to look at. And I would also say this, and I'll say this to everybody in the public and everybody that's listening tonight, my telephone number has been published more than any telephone number I'd say of any superintendent in the state of Kentucky. It is 606-643-7899. Anybody that has a question about this school district, you may not like the answer, but there's one thing I'll guarantee you, you'll get the truth if you walk into my office. I will tell you exactly what it was. And I would call a lady tonight, Dorothy Gregory. Came to my office, had some questions, came to my office, wanted to know answers to those questions. I sat down with her, I gave her those answers. She's here with us tonight, and I told her exactly what the case was. That's what you should do. If you've got questions about our school district, it does no good to get on social media. I've been on this rant before. People's going to do that no matter what. Most of the time they're uninformed. I have to tell you the truth. Anything you request has to be the truth. If not, I'll lose my job. I'm not going to lose my job. I've been in this business for 34 years. I'm not going to provide false information. If there's something out there that's not right, we'll make it right. And that's what we're always going to do. But I just wanted to let everybody know that tonight. That's the reason for item number H. On June the 10th, I'm going on the radio with Loretta from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and we're going to talk about a wide range of topics. I will not have the questions ahead of time. She will provide me with a list of topics. If we're going to talk about the nickel tax, if we're going to talk about the new Career Tech Center, if we're going to talk about test scores, she will just give me the topics that I need to be prepared on. And I'll be able to talk on those topics. If there's an answer I don't know, then what I will do is I'll refer back and I will send her any information that I do not have ahead of time that maybe I don't want to give an incorrect number out there that's not right, so I will refer back to her. But we're going to talk for 2 hours about the state of our school district. And the one thing that I want everybody to know, the one thing or the two things that I cannot discuss, and I know sometimes people want to know, just by nature, we want to know sometimes things that we just can't know. I cannot talk about former employees, and I cannot talk about things that have happened in our school district with former employees. I cannot talk about students and things that are happening with our students. I am bound by law not to do that, and I will not do that at the risk of putting this school district in a lot of legal issues and legal troubles, and I will not do that. But any other item is up for discussion on June the 10th. Tune in, listen. We'll also, once that's done, we'll ask for a tape. We'll put it on our website. but we'll sit down and have an honest conversation about where we're at as a school district, and that's it.
Mr. Seiler, will you also just tell everyone that we as a board cannot meet outside of these called meetings?
Yes, just so you'll know about open meetings, there was a request for the board members to meet with a group of people. That's what we're doing right now. That's why we have open meetings and Board of Education meetings, and that's why we have a public space on our agenda. When I arrived in this school district, there was no opportunity for public to speak. It was not on the agenda. This board and the past board decided that, yes, the people need to have an opportunity to speak, and I agree with that. So any topic can be discussed in here as well. If you bring it up, if I don't have the answer, we'll get the answers to you. Again, the public does not have a right to know about personnel decisions, and they do not have a right to know about student decisions. Those items cannot be discussed. And the only time a student decision can be discussed if there is an expulsion hearing and the parents ask for that to happen in open meeting, then it can be moved to open meeting. If not, it cannot be discussed. So this board cannot meet. 3 of them cannot get together and meet. If 2 of them go to lunch together, that's perfectly fine. But when 3 of them end up there, they're going to have to split up and go somewhere else. They cannot discuss school business outside of this time. And remember that the Board of Education, their duty and authority starts at 6 o'clock on the regular called board meeting, and it ends when they adjourn right here in a minute. And at that point in time, they have no authority in this school district over decisions that are made. Now, that doesn't mean I don't discuss with them and I tell them things that's going on, because just like they will not let me get caught off guard. We had a parent that has reported something to a board member today. We're in the process of checking that out. They will call me. If there's something that I need to discuss with them, I will call them one at a time, or I will communicate from the chair or the vice chair. I will communicate. We're an open book. We have been since the day that I got here, June the 25th, 4 years ago. So we're going to put that information out there, and I just want people to know that, again, everybody may not like the answers, but we're going to give them the truth, no matter what that is. So I just appreciate everybody. I'm looking forward to my next 4 years. I know one of the topics, and I'll say this, I know my contract is a topic of conversation in this, in all this stuff. We'll discuss my contract on June the 10th in terms of what my contract says, what it is, and I just feel like that we're going to be open about that as well and where we're at. So I appreciate the people in this community. I've said it before, I was welcomed with open arms in this community. I still feel that way. We have a group of people that just need to know or have the correct information. And once they have the correct information, it'll be left up to them what they decide they want to do with it. But I do appreciate the fact, and I appreciate you all board members for what you all do. Believe me, for $75 a board meeting, sometimes I wonder why you all put up with what you put up with. And just because you get $150 come July, I don't know that $75 for a raise is going to make it any better for you. But I do appreciate what you do for our kids. And that's it from me, unless a board member has.
Thank you for the clarification for our jobs.
You're welcome.
Very big issue lately.
Well, there's a lot of board members that run for the board, and then they figure out real quick the board does not have the authority that they did at one time. This is not 50 years ago. This is the board has a very important function. Basically, your function is to approve a budget, pay the bills, evaluate the superintendent, and set policies for this school district that keep kids safe and make sure that we move our educational programs forward. That's your functions. Board policies and procedures, budgets and bills, evaluate the superintendent. And if the superintendent's not doing a good job, you need to let them know. Coming up in June, you will evaluate my performance. It's on the next board agenda.
We need a motion to adjourn. All in favor?